Welcome back, beer tubers. Ryan here, back with another episode of San Diego Beer Vlog. Thanks for joining me back on the couch. Gonna be looking at beer from Norway. This is the, and I'm probably gonna butcher the name, Nøgne Imperial Stout. I think Nøgne, something like that. It's obviously a Norwegian pronunciation on there, which I butchered. It means naked island in English. So I heard a lot of good things about this beer. Let's get it open and poured. So this is actually the first beer for them I've reviewed. I've had a few of their other ones. Pours out pretty dark. It's not absolutely motor oil dark, but I'm sure it will be in the glass. Yeah, holding up to the light, can't see anything through that beer at all. Seems like get a decent amount of carbonation on there. Finger of, it's pretty dark head on this beer. It's just a straight up brown color. Mostly kind of medium-sized bubbles on there. Let's get the aroma. A lot of dark malt. A lot of I get oats in there. They say they're using wheat and oats. Definitely get some of that, but I get a lot of like a black malt to it. It's got a lot of that kind of almost smoky, burnt, charred character to it. There's a roasted, barley note in there. Maybe some bitter chocolate kind of underneath. There's some sweeter caramel notes. It doesn't smell overly sweet at all, and it's 9%, so the head's starting to fade a little bit of legs on the glass, but let's dig in. Cheers. Yeah, that's a nice Imperial Stout. Pretty much just spot on what you expect for the style. Up front, I get a little more carbonation than I'd like. I'd say it's slightly over-carbonated for the style. But I generally like my Imperial Stouts to be on the lower side. Bitterness then hits, probably a good hot bitterness in there. And, there's definitely some dark malts adding bitterness to it, but definitely a little bitterness. Then it kind of goes midway through. It starts to sweeten up a little bit. Overall, it's not a super sweet beer. It's definitely more it's pretty balanced. Maybe slightly more on the bitter side overall. Midway through, I get a touch of caramel, but I get mostly like dark, generic kind of dark fruits to it. Possibly coming from the caramel malt, some darker caramel malts. Or it just could be some, depending on what yeast they use, could be some yeast esters kind of cropping up. Because it kind of has that just generic kind of fruitiness to it. So the back end of this beer is kind of where it just really kind of hammers you on the head with its character. Really brings a full, not quite full body, but it's kind of up there, medium full body on there. Just big, a lot of black malt, roasted barley, bitter coffee. Definitely has a charred, almost smoky note to it. Just because they're probably using a lot of just roasted grain. Probably not a whole lot of crystal malt in this one. It reminds me a little bit of a beer I brewed up in that sense on the back end. Except mine doesn't quite have that more burnt note to it. But I mean, there's some slight bits of dark chocolate in there too. But overall, it's a very roasty, bitter beer. So I was hoping that maybe there'd be a little more sweetness in there, but it's probably going for a Russian Imperial Stout kind of style. I don't know for sure if they make a specific to Russian style, like hoppier Imperial Stout than this one, but I like some of the characters on it. It's not blowing me away like an A beer would, but it's pretty close. This is really nice Imperial Stout. I'm gonna go B+ with the Nøgne Imperial Stout. It's one of the first beers I've reviewed from them, but I've had a few. I like to get to reviewing more of their stuff because they're Norwegian. I can get their beer here, and there's a lot of breweries that we can get in Scandinavia now over here, just imports. So it's great to try new stuff all the time. And I definitely recommend checking out this one if you like Imperial Stouts. You need to try it at some point. So it's going to wrap it up. Until next time, please comment and subscribe. Cheers.